Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Product People community event. I'm really very happy to welcome all of you here. For those of you who are new, very welcome. And for those of you who are coming back, happy to see you again. The topic that we're going to discuss today is how to scale your product ops. And Anabela Cesári is going to help us discuss this topic today. She's the VP of Product at OutSystems, and she's overseeing the product team, the product experience, the product ownership, the product operations, and the pricing team. So it's quite a handful. I had to write it down. So I really think she has a lot of knowledge to share with us on this topic. And I think in Product People, we've seen with a lot of our clients, this is quite a relevant topic that's coming up a lot for companies as well. So I really think this is going to be an exciting talk for us today. Just before we jump in, very quick introduction to myself. So my name is Stefan. I'm originally from South Africa, Cape Town, but I've moved to Berlin, Germany about 5 months ago. And I've been with Product People for a while now. You can see a little bit of some of my product experience and what I did before that. But I'm not going to spend too much time here. And a little bit about Product People. So this is something that we're really passionate about. This is what we're doing now today, and that's sharing knowledge generously and creating a community of product leaders, product managers, and people that just love product as well. Our mission is to help companies discover and deliver great products fast and faster. We love to onboard fast, align teams, and deliver outcomes. And we usually work based when it's a product manager, product owner, product ops, or product leader basis role on an interim or fractional basis, like 3 or more months. We have about 40 in-house product managers, and we have a product community, which you are part of about 25,000 members. So yeah, we're really excited to start this discussion today with all of you. Just before we get started on the actual presentation, before I hand over, because I know you're not here to listen to me, we just have 2 questions that we wanted to ask you to get you warmed up for the topic. The first question is, how familiar are you with the concept of product operations? And the second question is, what's the biggest challenge you face when scaling product operations in your organization? So if you're on YouTube or on LinkedIn, you can give us the answer in the chat there. But if you're on Zoom, you're going to see that there's going to be a poll that's popping up that you can give us your answers on there. So with the first question, how familiar are you with the concept of product operations? You have 4 answers that you can choose from. A, which is very familiar. B, which is moderatively familiar. C, slightly familiar. And D, not familiar at all. And then second question, what's the biggest challenge you face when scaling product operations in your organization? Then you have options between building efficient processes, improving cross-functional communication, supporting business objectives, or none. We haven't faced any challenges in scaling product operations, which I would love to see who can give us that answer, because then you can also probably do a talk if it's been working so great at your company. So really excited to see what most of you will be answering here, and I'm going to give you a few seconds to make your decision. I know for me, with the biggest challenge with scaling product operations in your organization is it's usually a lot about like the communication between the different teams as well. And I wonder what you would say. So I've seen we've had some answers here, and we have like a 50-50 split between people saying they're moderatively familiar or they're slightly familiar. And then third place would be people that are saying that they're very familiar with it. And then the biggest challenge that people have faced when scaling product operations in the organization, it's also a 50-50 split between improving cross-functional communication and supporting business objectives. And then in third place, building efficient processes. So I wonder if these are also the things that Anabela is going to touch on today when she gives her presentation. And with that, I'm not going to talk any further, and I'm going to hand over to Anabela so that she can give us the detail around these topics. And I'm going to stop sharing now, Anabela, and hand over to you.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so hello everyone. So it's a pleasure to be here talking about product operations. And to start, Stefan, I have a question for you. So, do you know the Super Mario game?
Yes. Love it.
Did you play it when you were a kid?
Yes, a lot.
Yeah. So I also used to play Super Mario when I was younger. And I can tell you that I remember that when Super Mario eats the mushroom, he gets superpowers. Do you remember that? And that moment was magic for me. I remembered it until today. And I know if you know it, but in video game designs, those are called power-ups. And for me, product operation has a lot in common with power-ups. At OutSystems, product ops was really an empowered thing, and it helped us to be much, much better than we were before. And today, I'm going to tell you why. So, and everything started in March 2020 when a new VP of product came along. He would be my new manager. And I remember like it was today that in one of our first one-on-ones, he told me, Anabela, we have a lot of work to do improving the efficiency of our team. You know, he speaks always like this, full of energy. You can think of him like someone that has a Duracell battery that he charges during the night. So in the morning is always full of energy. And he continued, what if we start a product operations area? And I remember what? But what is exactly product operations all about? And my first thought was, okay, probably something like sales ops, rev ops, but for product, right? And I remember that while I was lost in my thoughts, I realized that I needed to understand better the need behind this. And so I asked him, Gonçalo, why exactly do we need a product operations area? And he told me, Anabela, OutSystems is in a hyper-growth stage. And to keep up with the necessary growth, we need to improve our efficiency. You know, we need to give time back to PM so they can focus on the things that they are core for them, their core competencies, the customers and their problems, and also our product, and not spending so much time concerned with tools and processes. Nowadays, I saw them in the office spending so much time with those. Also, the PM team is growing. And you know, we have a lot of PMs that are used to a startup mindset, but now we need to grow really fast. We need to help them to change the mindset and to learn how to do it at scale. Also, we need to have data and processes in place to support my product strategy decisions. I saw we have some data, but it's not enough. And last but not least, we need to improve the communication with our stakeholders. I think the sales team, the solution architecture team, they are feeling very distant from the PMs. So can you help me or not? And I told him, yeah, of course, let's do it. And back then I started by researching the market, and I realized that product operations was and still is a fairly new practice, and that every company tailors it to their own needs. And that's what we did as well. So we tailored product operations to our needs. And for that, we created the concept of product group operations, with the mission to build a foundation for product excellence. And in our case, we created two different areas in the beginning. On one side, we have product operations to help product management build the right product, mainly focus on promoting the efficiency of the product management team and alignment across the company. On the other side, we had engineering ops, helping engineering build the product right. especially focus on the engineering machine and how we could make it better. And today, I will be much more focused on explaining the product management side and the collaboration with the rest of the company. And for that, I will share the adventure that we had so far. I will talk mainly about the first 2 years we set up product operations in 2020, and I will talk mainly on the first 2 years. And what I did in beginning. So I have a product management background, and I use my product management experience, and I decided to treat product operation as my new product. And as a PM, probably the ones that are here know what we should do in the beginning, know our customer, right? And is what I did. So I decided to understand my customer and especially his needs. And for that, I started a discovery phase looking for facts and field. And when I look around, I was amazed because suddenly, if you can see this diagram, we had more than 20 groups of stakeholders to interact with. They represent 90% of the company. And after some analysis, I realized that my customer was the product management team, and the rest of the company, they were my stakeholders. So in 1 month, we interviewed 60 stakeholders and we raised more than 76 main concerns. And I can tell you that some of the complaints were really, really fair. Things that we really needed to improve. Things like, on one hand, we had stakeholders want to be much more involved on product roadmap prioritization, on product strategy. On the other way, as I already mentioned, the startup way of doing things was not working anymore. So at this stage, I realized that the challenge was even bigger than I thought in the beginning. And I must confess that for the first time, I was a bit afraid of not being able to address so many concerns with a team of just 3 people. Yeah, only 3. And I needed to be creative. And I remember thinking about Steve Jobs, one of my heroes, and the importance of saying no. And I remember talking with them in my thoughts and saying, I know, Steve, I know it's really important to say no, but how can I say no to such an important stakeholders like the CTO, the CEO, etc.? So tell me how. Of course, Steve did not give me a solution, and we create our own. And the solution for us was to create a simple prioritization model that would help us to be focused on the things that move the needle and have more impact across the organization. Do you remember the 76 main concerns from discovery? Okay, so we analyzed those and identify common patterns. Then focus on the outcomes we wanted to achieve. We defined 4 vectors of prioritization that combined would give us the prioritization score. For us in the beginning, everything was related with first, improving communication, the frequency of an issue, the third, the number of teams impacted, and also the simplification of our product development lifecycle. And this is really simple, and I can tell you that this model was and still is a crucial tool in negotiations. We use it today. It helps us a lot. Instead of saying a plain no, we are able to explain to a stakeholder that to solve his problem, we need to drop another one that has much, much more impact at the company level. And I can tell you that I use this with my boss. He's full of energy, also full of ideas. So I had to use it sometimes with him when he brought a new idea, and I told him, okay, this is really important, but it's more important than this thing, and that thing. And 95% of the times, the model helped me to explain the obvious. it was not more important at the company level. So it was easy to drop. Also back then, I used the complementary technique to give my team focus and direction, which was defining clear focus areas. And the first one that we defined was to help the PM function scale. And in here, we were mainly working with PM, understanding what were the key areas of collaboration. Back then, for us, it was engineering and marketing. And we started improving the way we work and collaborate and the processes and the tools. This was what we call helping the PM function scale and setting up the foundations. The second one was improve cross-communication with all stakeholders, starting with the field teams. Again, input from the discovery that we use to focus the team on the things that are more important. So several months later, in a one-on-one, Gonçalo asked me, Anabela, do you know the Super Mario game? And I told him, yeah, of course, who doesn't? And he told me, Anabela, product operations reminds me the Super Mario game. Do you remember when Super Mario gets the flower, he gets superpowers? Yeah, I do. So Anabela, for me, product operations is the product manager's flowers, always giving us superpowers. Even for me, I feel that you guys are helping me to do a better job and to have more impact at the board level. So probably some of you are wondering, why does Gonçalo think we are the flowers? So let me tell you why and share the two main lessons from the first year. And the first one is all about efficiency. So from the discovery, we realized that the efficiency of 60% of the PM use cases were compromised by all the tools they had to use on a daily basis. In average, they had to use 10 tools. Salesforce, Radar, a customer-made tool, several Excel spreadsheets, you name it. So I think some of you are seeing the picture in some of your companies. In our case back then, even the roadmap prioritization was done in a huge Excel spreadsheet, as well as the release and launch management. So for us, this process was really very time-consuming and error-prone. And the solution for us was to adopt a product management tool as a single source of truth that allow us to address 60% of the PM stakeholders. Basically, we have three main modules in this tool. The first one is we centralize all the product feedback, product insights in this tool. So we have nowadays the majority of the stakeholders from solution architects, customer success managers, engineers, marketeers, everyone giving us feedback on the tool. And then PMs have a SLA of 1 week to process the feedback and give an answer or a follow-up to that feedback. The second one is we prioritize product initiatives, as also in the tool, align with the company strategy and the product strategy. And we have a third module that allows us to customize and tailor product roadmap views for each stakeholder, for a group of stakeholders. For instance, we have a specific and more detailed roadmap for engineering with all the context that they need to have, another one for sales teams, and so on. So I can tell you that stakeholders loved it. Now they are able to track their feedback and understand roadmap priorities. But the game-changing event was the fact that they are using the product management master tool. So they belong to the team. They feel that they are involved in the process. So after 6 months, the impact of this was really huge. And like Super Mario, we eat our mushroom and we had our first power up. The PM team was amazed by the fact that due to this, their productivity improved by 30% because we were able to address 60% of use cases in a centralized way. The second lesson was related with communication. Another insight from the discovery phase was that the relationship with field stakeholders was really, really fragile in the beginning of 2020. They felt distance from PM, they don't know the roadmap, don't understand the product priorities and so on. We had several communication channels and tools, and they complain about having lack of product information. So the solution for us was to define an end-to-end stakeholders engagement process. And we did it in a very simple way. We sat down with them and designed the just enough process to address the inbound and outbound communication issues. And the game-changing event was the communication cadence that we put in place. So now, every quarter, they know what to expect from PM regarding the inbound and outbound communication, how and when they can interact with us. So in Q4 2020, we acquired a new power. Stakeholders, mainly the field teams, recognizing us and promoting us and sharing our value with a CSAT of 86%. So stakeholders had a much more active participation in product roadmap and strategy discussions. And like Super Mario in the game, we were also growing. And each quarter we were moving one level up. So by the end of 2020, we were stronger. The PM team and the stakeholders recognized our value. We were the VP of Product Flower. So after laying the foundations, it was time to grow the function. And we defined our third focus area. And it was focused on develop PM skills. And for that, we launched an internal B2B Product Management Academy, an in-house learning program for our product managers. We invested on creating an awesome learning experience to help them to cope with all this hypergrowth. And we assessed their needs. We did a gap analysis to understand what were the areas they need more help. And we invite some product gurus from the market, so like Melissa Perry, Bruce McCarthy, Marty Kagan, to come and tailor the training to our needs, to the OutSystems product managers' needs. And this is helping us, hopefully, to create the next generation of product leaders. Another power-up. This time, product managers, they recognize the academy value. They evaluate it with a return of time invested of 4.5 in 5. Simply, this means that they consider the time spent in training. It has a huge positive impact on their work. And our focus area, fourth focus area, is to deliver business objectives, assisting the VP of Product Strategy of product on the product strategy definition, deployment, and monitoring. And for that, we have created a 5-step framework to help us mainly foster alignment around the company. I can tell you that this piece it was and still is really difficult. We are improving it by now after 2 years. And the main challenge that I can share here with you, the first one is after defining a strategy, it's hard to define a strategy, but the first really challenge for me is how you can align the key stakeholders and get their buy-in on the strategy. This was and still is the first challenge. And the second one is, okay, you define the strategy, you have the buy-in of stakeholders, but now how can you deploy it to all the different audiences at different levels in the company and make it useful for them? So the strategy needs to be easy to implement, right? Easy to understand. And for that, we have created a new metric and we call it strategy understanding. And in here, we try to measure inside the product group and engineering, if they understand the metric and if in case the strategy, and in case they understand it, if they are able to make product decisions using it. So something tough and difficult that we are progressing, but still improving. And now, before I leave you, there is one main thing I would like you to really take away from this talk today. So it all comes down to focusing on impact. So focus on the thing that move the needle and allow you to have a power up. In Super Mario game, this means to eat all the mushrooms. In real life design and language, this means focus on the things that move the needle and have a huge impact at the company level. And are you ready for it? Are you ready to do it in your company? So these are the questions that I leave you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anabela. That was really cool. And I really like the way that you explained it to us in a way that I think all of us who are product managers can already kind of understand. Like you explained it in like a discovery type of process as well, which made a lot of sense, but I think for a lot of us, and made it a little bit less like, product ops, I don't know, like how to do that. So thank you for explaining it to us in that way. For everyone else, we're going to open up a Q&A session now. So what's going to happen is I'm just going to quickly give you some time to think by talking about product people for a short while, just to give you time to think, what do I want to ask Anabela? And then you can post your questions for us here. It'll be 2 minutes, and then we'll start with the Q&A portion of this talk today. So just very quickly on product people. So the use cases when it's best to engage with product people and where we can come in and make a difference is on an interim basis as a product manager or product leader. Let's say when your product manager is going on parental leave, or there's an important new highly prioritized product area that comes up and you need a product manager or product leader to help push that. Or there's this time within which you need to onboard or hire a new product manager. And there's also as product coach or consultant or product manager or product ops, where we can come and coach. And there's also this product discovery, so helping you to figure out like what's the next thing to do, the next impactful initiative, and running a low code or no code pilot or MVP. What we aren't doing is we're not recruiters. We don't source candidates. All of the product managers that we give to clients and on an interim basis are full-time on our payroll at Product People. So we're not a freelance marketplace either. And we're also not a development or design agency. If you need development or design capabilities, we can help by introducing you to some companies that we think are quite reliable and good. Here are some of the companies that we have worked with on the B2C side, which we're quite excited about working with them and have really good relationships with them and really loved working with them. Same for the B2B clients that we've worked with, just some of them that we've listed here. And just some positive feedback that we've gotten from our clients as well, which you can see is very much in line with the vision that we have as well, by onboarding very quickly, getting to a place where we deliver value and help teams to deliver value as well. But I'm not going to read through all of them right now. And then just some stats that we're pretty proud of as well is we've supported over 200 cross-functional teams. We have 40 product leaders and product managers that work with us. And this is one that I think most of us are the most excited about, is that 60% of our team is made up of women, and 60% of our leadership is also made up of women as well. So that's something that we're pretty proud of. And this is our team, all the pictures of our beautiful team members from all over the world. And if you want to join this team, you can go to this link, which we'll also share in the YouTube link as well, which is boards.eu.greenhouse.io/product people, where you can see that there's associate product management consultant roles currently open. So you can apply there, and yeah, we hope to see you. But now we're going over to the Q&A session. So I just want to give a quick shout out. Jean-Pierre Laurette is from LinkedIn is saying it's nice to see you again, Anabela. So just a quick shout out there. And then Sabina from YouTube is asking, how did you measure the productivity improvement in the product team? And also someone else was also like plus oneing it. And I also wrote this question down to ask you.
Okay. That I can tell you that that's the question that everyone asks me. So how did you measure the productivity? Okay, I must confess that I did it in a simple, I like to do things simple. And the way I did it was, I use simple math. So I had imagined that you have a team of 15 PMs. I was lucky that I had two that they log all their activities. So I went through the logs and I sum the time that they spend on doing things like create their own roadmap, manage their own feedback, managing the release on spreadsheet, all that tasks that are more processual, the things that they took to plan the meetings with stakeholders and so on to communicate, all of those. I did the math, and then I multiplied imagine they would spend 8 hours a week or 4 hours a week, 4 hours per week doing it. And then I multiply by the 15 PMs. And then suddenly you understand that they are spending a lot of money and that you can invest on having, for instance, one product ops people supporting them on all of those roles. So it's simple math. I did not use this to request, but to justify the budget that I needed. I use it mainly to put the focus on the improving of the efficiency, the way we work. But you guys can use it either way. If you need to find a budget and ask your manager for a budget, you can do the math and explain, I will save this amount of money if I have someone to supporting me. Or you can do it like I did to justify the improvement on the efficiency.
Thank you, Anabela. And then we also have a question on Zoom itself from Kaspars. He's saying thanks for the great presentation, or they're saying thanks for the great presentation. And then also asking, how do you know when to start thinking about product ops within a company? Is there a scenario when it's too soon?
Okay. I believe that the most obvious phase is when you need to grow and you are in a hyper growth. This is the obvious one. In my opinion, I think that even when you are a startup, you should start thinking about it. But probably you don't have the budget to have a product ops team, so you don't need to call it product ops team. You can find, for instance, between PMs, we always have one that likes more the process, the organization, and so on. So prior to have product operations, what I did was, okay, we need to improve this process. I would talk with some PM and find a way to talk with their manager and find, for instance, 30% of his time allocated to this improvement. And you can start doing it a little bit more organic. But in my opinion, you should start from the beginning. Everything that we do, if we have the opportunity, and we should always be aiming to work better and more efficient. If you have the ops, is an ideal scenario. If you don't have the budget to have a product ops team, find a way to do it inside your team. So someone will help improve a small process and so on.
Great. Thank you, Anabela. We have so many questions coming in, so I'm just going to jump into the next one. Gurav from YouTube is asking whether there was business KPIs that you could see being impacted with these changes that you've implemented. And, can you elaborate on some of those, not the numbers specifically for the company, but just could you see specific business KPIs being impacted by implementing these product ops?
It's a good question. We did not do it in the first year because we were more, like I said, the laying the foundations. But after, I think probably in the second year, what we start by doing was to, let me see how I can. we are attaching this, improving the lead time. We are a product company, right? We are delivering products. So what we are trying to measure is the improvement on the lead time to deliver a release, for instance, and crossing it with the revenue that we earn from that release. So we do the math, not directly, but we are constantly reducing the delivery time and map it to revenue. So this is one example. So you can do it, not in the beginning. I think in the beginning, in our case, we really were much more focused on the efficiency, but then as time go by, and for instance, nowadays, we also have an important impact on our product strategy deployment. Our team works with PMs to understand what are the critical initiatives, what are the critical pieces of the roadmap that impact our revenue. So we do it supporting the PMs on it. Also, we support business case and so on. This type of things.
Okay, thank you. And then I have another question also from YouTube, from Luca, asking, how did you define the right time to validate the outcome of each phase? The ones that you've mentioned seem very dynamic. So how long can people embrace the change and form a realistic opinion about the change outcomes?
Phase, I'm assuming that was kind of the focus areas. So like the foundation.
I think so, yes.
Okay, the way I do it is that I start with a team of 3, and in 1.5 years, we grew from 3 to 7. So what I do is I look at the top priorities or concerns or problems that I have to solve. We can call it problems that I have to solve. And then I mobilize my team to solve the most important ones. So every quarter, I define clear goals with clear metrics. And sometimes I solve the problem in one quarter, and I can move to the other one. Or sometimes I need 2 or 3 quarters. For instance, the tool that we did it in 3 months. And then we start measuring it and showing the progress and the metrics. So in my case, it was easier because I was able to share the productivity. So we increased the productivity in 30%. So I had the metrics to show, the communication with stakeholders. I had the CSAT, the Academy, I have the ROTI. So I always have the metrics. And then I share it with stakeholders, and I balance the evolution of the metrics, if I may say it this way, with the new problems that I have to solve. I balance.
And then there's almost like a follow-up on these types of metric questions, where Sabina was asking, did the impact that you saw on these initiatives, did they match your expectations, or did they exceed them or fall a little bit lower than the expectations? Did you think you were going to get 30% improvement on, let's say, productivity, or did you think it was going to be less or more?
No, in the beginning, it exceeded my expectations. I was really amazed when I started doing the math, and I'm kind of obsessed by metrics. So everything I do, I like to have a metric and be able to measure it. And it exceeded my expectations. It was for a 3 months investment. It was really a good return on investment. I think overall, I think it was kind of, I was focused on, I decided that I want to do this and I want to do it really well. So I set up product operations, it will be a new thing. So I dedicate a lot of effort, and my team as well. So, but things I think start happening, and it was good because with the metrics, we were able to show the value. So suddenly we were not seeing as, oh, another ops team, and we were invited by stakeholders, by our PMs, our VP, to help them solve problems. So for me, it was always a crescendo, and increasing on delivering value. It was really nice.
Great, thank you, Anabela. And then Gonzalo in LinkedIn has asked, he said maybe he missed it, but I also can't remember exactly, maybe he didn't. He asked, could you share a bit the process for creating the academy, the Product Management Academy? What sort of contents or modules did you use to create to teach the PMs?
Okay, I can share, I can send you, Stefan, and you, we have a Miro board where my team, we host Product Ops and Rep Talk series. And we have 12 talks. The first one was did by myself, some of the others for the rest of the team. And I have one specifically for the Academy. So he can go there and he will see Patricia, our lead of the Product Academy, explaining all the process, how we did it, how it works, and so on. We also have a talk about metrics, how I combined product ops metrics with product development lifecycle metrics with the OKRs of each person. So you can find that there. So you have the details about this talk, you can find them in separate talks.
Awesome, thank you. So when we post the YouTube video, then we should just remember to then also add that link for people there as well, that they can see it there. And then there was one, this is a question from me. You were mentioning about when you come up with that strategy and it helps you with the product ops setup and people buying in. You said that one thing that you measured there was the percentage of people that understand the product strategy and can make decisions out of it. How do you measure that in a company?
For now, it's really easy. We send a survey to people with clear questions. So, do you understand the strategy? And are you able to use it on your daily basis? And my experience from product ops and this experience show me, sometimes you don't need to have a very complicated metric, an awesome metric. So ask people and they will give you the insights. And when I don't have a very fancy metric like the ROTI or return of time invested, I create these simple questions that guide you through the process. And I improve it along the way. And for instance, for us, it was really good. And the way I use it is that, imagine, the first time you only get 20% of people saying that they understand. And then you focus on improving and you need to see the metric growing. After a while, the problem changes. Okay, they now understand it, but you need to raise the bar and increase raise the bar.
And then it's a question that I also have a little bit related to stakeholders is you were talking about the stakeholder impact and the stakeholder engagement that I think it was 86% or something that you said with SSAT. And I was just wondering for everyone, for me as well, like what SSAT stands for and how you measured that.
Okay, it's again a simple question. We call it, in the beginning we call it customer satisfaction, but then they were not customers, we call it stakeholder satisfaction. But it was a question. So again, another question tailored to them. And it was in the beginning, we started we asked it in the beginning, okay, so did you enjoy the session? It was useful. Okay. After a while, I got always 80 something. So then I changed the question much more focused to outcomes. So is this session helping you to do a better job, to interact with customers? So I start with these more processual and communication questions. And then I move to much more outcome focus. So everything I used to tell my team, everything we do, we need to look for adoption. So adoption of our processes, the tools, everything. So again, thinking like a product manager, if we have an amazing process, but people don't use it, it's not useful, right? So always aim for adoption. And in these questions, I'm now changing for the outcome that we expect to achieve with what we do.
Okay, great. Thank you, Anabela. I think we've kind of magically ran through all of the questions that we got. There were quite a lot. Yes, but I just wanted to say, if there's no other questions, I see there is one person that just asked about the link for hiring. You didn't write it down quickly enough. You said in the message. Don't worry about that. We'll also add that to the YouTube for you as well, so that you can get the link, and it's easier because then you can just click on it. But other than that, I think you've answered all the questions, Anabela. Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your knowledge with us. And also, just to confirm, Anabela is going to share with us that mirror board that she was mentioning previously, and we'll add that to the YouTube link for you as well, so that everyone can get access to it.
Yeah, and Stefan, just to share with the audience, if you are into product operations and you want to understand better how you can set up a product operations, we will have in Lisbon the Productize conference. I don't know if you know it. And I will be, in the first day, I will have a workshop with my colleague Patricia, where we will teach people how they can create a business case to justify the importance of product operations. And then in the second day, I will have a talk about my product ops principle. So if you are nearby, you can appear.
Great. Maybe when you share with us the link for the mirror board, just also maybe if there's a link for Productize and for your workshop as well, that people can register or something for that, then we can add that to the YouTube link as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Anabela. And thank you everyone for joining.
Thank
I hope you found it very helpful.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here. Bye.